My journey to understand Iran's hostility towards Israel began at the Islamic College in London. This Twelver Shia institution provided a unique perspective. Earning my MA in Islamic Studies, there was an immersive experience. I studied under esteemed Muslim scholars. We delved into the complexities of Shia theology. It was through this lens that I began to grasp the eschatological beliefs shaping Iran's worldview. This was not merely an academic pursuit. It was an intimate encounter with a belief system that fuels a nation's actions. The depth of Iran's hatred for Israel became clear. It wasn't just about land or politics, it was deeply rooted in theology. This realization struck me profoundly. Western analysts often miss this crucial aspect. They focus on political science and historical grievances, overlooking the driving force religion. Iran's leaders see Israel's destruction as a divine imperative. It is a prerequisite for the Mahdi's return, the ultimate messianic figure in Shia Islam. This is not a conflict that can be resolved through diplomacy alone. It requires understanding the theological bedrock upon which it is built. My time at the Islamic College provided me with a unique understanding. Iran's war against Israel is not simply a political struggle. It is a religious crusade fueled by Twelver Shia eschatology. This ideology glorifies death and martyrdom. It views the creation of chaos as a pathway to the apocalypse. The West must grasp this fundamental truth if it hopes to effectively counter Iran's ambitions. Many struggle to comprehend Iran's unrelenting animosity towards Israel. They seek simple explanations, historical disputes, competition for resources, or geopolitical maneuvering. Western academics and politicians often fall into this trap. They attribute Iran's aggression to familiar causes, sanctions, U.S. intervention, or regional power struggles. These explanations, while tempting in their simplicity, miss the mark entirely. They fail to grasp the fundamental truth. Iran's war against Israel is not merely political. It is a religious war deeply rooted in Twelver Shia eschatology. This ideology is not about peaceful coexistence. It glorifies destruction as a necessary precursor to divine intervention. Iran's regime celebrates martyrdom. It views bloodshed as sacred. The very existence of Israel is an affront to their theological beliefs. It must be wiped out to pave the way for the Mahdi's return. This is not a conflict that can be resolved through diplomacy or appeasement. Iran's leaders are driven by the conviction that they are instruments of God's will. Their actions are not bound by conventional notions of rationality. To truly understand Iran's motivations, one must look beyond secular frameworks. This is not about land or resources. It is about fulfilling a divinely ordained mission. Iran's leaders believe they are ushering in a new era, a global Islamic order. Until the West acknowledges this theological dimension, its response to Iran will continue to be inadequate and dangerously naive. At the heart of Iran's aggression lies a deeply held apocalyptic vision. This vision is inextricably linked to Twelver Shia Islam, the official state religion of the Islamic Republic. It compels Iran's leaders to wage war against a theological symbol, Israel. This tiny nation, a thriving democracy, in the heart of the Middle East, represents a profound spiritual challenge to Iran's eschatological narrative. The destruction of Israel is not merely a political goal for Iran. It is a divine imperative. It is a necessary step towards fulfilling their ultimate destiny, the return of the Mahdi. The Mahdi is the 12th Imam, a messianic figure who will usher in an era of global justice and Islamic rule. According to Twelver Shia belief, the world must be engulfed in chaos and bloodshed before the Mahdi can emerge. Iran's leaders believe they have a divinely ordained role to play in this apocalyptic drama. They are the instruments of God's will, tasked with preparing the world for the Mahdi's return. Their actions, from funding terrorist groups to destabilizing neighboring countries, are not merely acts of aggression. They are sacred duties performed in the name of fulfilling prophecy. This theological framework makes Iran's actions far more dangerous than conventional state conflict. It cannot be resolved through diplomacy or deterrence. For Iran, peace is not the ultimate goal. Martyrdom and divine justice are. Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Republic, solidified Iran's messianic self-perception. He declared Iran the vanguard of the Mahdi, the nation chosen by God to pave the way for the 12th Imam's return. Khomeini viewed the 1979 Iranian Revolution not simply as a political upheaval, but as a cosmic event. It marked Iran's ascent to a pivotal role in God's plan for humanity. This mantle of divine purpose has been inherited by Khomeini's successor, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei continues to portray Iran's military and its network of terrorist proxies as instruments of divine will. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, Iran's most powerful military force, sees itself as the Mahdi's army. This belief system permeates every level of Iran's military and political establishment. It is the driving force behind their actions. They are engaged in a cosmic struggle, preparing the world for the Mahdi's return. This is not a conflict that can be resolved through diplomacy or concessions. It is a battle for the soul of humanity as Iran sees it, and they are determined to emerge victorious. Israel, a theological thorn in Iran's messianic vision. Israel, for Iran's leadership, is more than just a geopolitical adversary. It represents a profound theological obstacle, a stumbling block on the path to fulfilling their messianic destiny. Twelver Shia theology dictates that the world must be united under Islamic rule before the Mahdi can return. The existence of Israel, a Jewish state thriving on land once ruled by Muslims, directly contradicts this vision. Israel's success further fuels Iran's animosity. Its robust democracy, advanced military, and cultural influence stand in stark contrast to Iran's theocratic regime. Israel's very existence is an affront to Iran's claim to Islamic supremacy. It disrupts the eschatological timeline that underpins their entire worldview. Iran's leaders believe that Israel's destruction is not optional. It is a divinely ordained necessity. Every missile test, every act of terrorism, every inflammatory statement is designed to hasten Israel's demise. By removing Israel, they believe they are removing the primary obstacle to the Mahdi's return. Their rhetoric is not mere political posturing. It is a reflection of their deeply held religious convictions. Iran's proxies, instruments of chaos in the name of God. Iran's apocalyptic vision is not confined to rhetoric and ideology. It directly shapes their military strategy, particularly their reliance on proxy warfare. Recognizing their geographical limitations, Iran has meticulously cultivated a network of proxy forces across the Middle East. These groups, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, serve as instruments of Iran's will, extending their reach and influence far beyond their borders. These proxies are not merely tools of regional meddling. They are seen as instruments of divine will, tasked with sowing chaos and bloodshed throughout the region. Their actions are designed to destabilize Israel, weaken its neighbors, and create the conditions necessary for the Mahdi's return. This strategy of proxy warfare allows Iran to exert influence while maintaining a degree of plausible deniability. They can claim that the actions of these groups are not directly controlled by Tehran. However, the evidence of Iran's support, both financial and military, is overwhelming. These proxies are extensions of Iran's will, carrying out their apocalyptic mission on the ground. Nuclear ambitions fueling the fire of Iran's apocalyptic vision. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of Iran's eschatological worldview is its relentless pursuit of nuclear weapons. While most nations view nuclear weapons as a deterrent, a last resort in case of existential threat, Iran sees them through a different lens. They view nuclear weapons as instruments of divine retribution, tools to be wielded in their apocalyptic struggle. Statements from Iranian leaders such as Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's infamous declaration that Israel must be wiped off the map should not be dismissed as mere rhetoric. These statements reflect a deeply held belief that the destruction of Israel is a divinely ordained necessity. Nuclear weapons in their eyes would provide the ultimate means to achieve this goal. The prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran, driven by a messianic ideology that glorifies martyrdom and destruction, is a chilling one. It is a threat that cannot be ignored or appeased. The world must recognize the stakes involved and take decisive action to prevent Iran from acquiring this capability. The West's blind spot, ignoring theology at our peril. The West has long struggled to comprehend Iran's true nature. We cling to secular frameworks, attributing their actions to political ambition, economic grievances, or a desire for regional hegemony. But these explanations fall short. They fail to account for the driving force behind Iran's behavior, its deeply held religious convictions. Iran's leaders are not motivated by the same things that drive Western leaders. They are driven by a messianic vision of the world, one in which Islam reigns supreme and Israel is wiped from the map. Their actions are not guided by rational self-interest, but by a belief in their own divine destiny. This fundamental misunderstanding has led to a series of policy failures. We have attempted to engage Iran through diplomacy, offering concessions in the hope of moderating their behavior, but these efforts have been met with defiance and deceit. Iran has continued to pursue its nuclear ambitions while expanding its influence through terrorism and proxy warfare. It is time for the West to wake up to the reality of the threat we face. We must abandon our naive belief that Iran can be reasoned with or bought off. This is not a conflict that can be resolved through dialogue or compromise. It is an ideological struggle, a clash of civilizations, and we must be prepared to defend our values and interests with unwavering resolve. Confronting the apocalypse, a call for clarity and resolve. The world stands at a crossroads. Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons, fueled by a dangerous ideology, poses a grave threat to global security. The time for complacency and appeasement is over. We must confront this challenge with clarity, courage, and an unwavering commitment to defending our values. This is not a battle that can be won through military might alone. We must also wage a war of ideas, exposing the bankruptcy of Iran's ideology and supporting those who seek a more peaceful and prosperous future for the region. We must strengthen alliances with like-minded nations, building a united front against Iranian aggression. The stakes could not be higher. The fate of the free world may well hinge on our ability to contain and defeat this dangerous regime. Let us rise to the challenge, not with fear or hesitation, but with the unwavering resolve that has always defined the defenders of freedom. The future of humanity depends on it.